Good morning, everybody. Come on in. Hi, Leah. Hi, Paulette. I took my love, took it down. I climbed a mountain and I turned around. And I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills till the landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child in my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Ooh. Come on in, everybody. We are here for the next hour to deal with mind over matter. Hey, Omar, I'm so glad you're here. Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Oh, I'm getting older too. Oh, take my love, take it down. Oh, climb a mountain and turn around. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, will the landslide bring it down? And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, will the landslide bring it down? Oh, the landslide bring it down. Good morning, everybody. You have no idea what went on the last 12 minutes. It was helter skelter. That should have been the song, right? Helter skelter, for real. This is Leslie Flowers with my wonderful co-host, Paulette Holland. We're here each week for Mind Over Matter Mondays, and this week we've brought in a special guest who has a special and unique focus on mind over matter when it comes to moolah. Okay, so I will introduce you to her in just a little bit. Let me say hello to everybody. We are here for an hour. I will put the link, or maybe one of you can put the link that you had into the comments, although it's not necessary to come up on stage. Engagement through the audience works well for us. We've got 1 hour. And today we're going to talk about how do you manage this end of January when the bills come in year after year from Christmas. It's probably the most tumultuous month financially, I think. Shake your head, Leah, if that's true about January.
Yeah,
Sort of, yeah. For
agreed.
me, yeah. So any month can be, for sure, right? But for me personally, the end of January was the most difficult time because it was the realization of, oh my God, what have I done when I said I wouldn't? Right? Right. So let's say hello. We said hello already to Omar. And by the way, each week, everyone, I put out a live video carousel with a whole bunch of wonderful live shows by day, and for every week. And this week I featured Do We Really Know Them? So page 2 will have Omar. His Do We Really Know Them is a unique live perspective, getting to know people on Sundays at noon Eastern in a different way than you ever knew them. So thank you, Omar, for being so consistent with that. And we have Dr. VP and Jay Pasqua. Hello. Thank you. We are 3 great ladies for sure. And you're a great man to us. Good morning, Rebecca and Linda, our chef, and Leanna. It's so good to see your wonderful faces here again and again. You don't know what that does for me and for Paulette and soon for Leah. So we may do a different guest each week because of the nature of the live and what's happened over the last few months going from audio to video. While we're delighted to have you come on the stage and share, no problem there, the real engagement is with you in the comments and what we're saying and your observations and your questions and your epiphanies. That's what's so important to us. All right, I'm going to guess this is Janelle. I don't know, but I'm going to say it is Janelle, just because my intuition says it's Janelle. Hello, Janelle, a new friend. And there's Dr. Marcia. She is a Christian leadership coach. She's really more of a leader than anything else. So she, though, will intertwine concepts in Christianity, yet she has no issue being open to other ways of explaining universal law. So I think Dr. Marcia realizes that what's in and what's available to us is available everywhere. It's just said a little bit differently. So that's why I love Dr. Marcia, because of her open mind. There's Joseph. Hi, Joseph. So glad you're here. And here's our friend Deborah. Hi, Deborah, our visionary. She's up in Toronto and has a lot of phenomenal ideas that she'll share with you. There's MD, Bangladesh. Hi, MD. Hope you're doing well. There's our friend Stanley Green. Hey. Stanley has a phenomenal program on Wednesdays. Unfortunately, it's not usually anymore on LinkedIn. It's done by Zoom, but regardless of that, it's called Power Thinking, and it's phenomenal. And he does it by phone and perhaps by Zoom. I think it's also by Zoom, but I'm not sure. The point is he does it at 7:30 Eastern on Wednesdays and at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. So 7:30 a.m. I think that's right. Anyway, correct me if I'm wrong, Stanley. Let me just see. Here's Leanna. Oh, there you go. You two are just visiting with each other. I love that. Hey, Linda, again. And there is Rebecca. Yeah, so good to see you. So glad that you're all here. Rihanna, so glad that you're here. Gosh, it must be afternoon where you are, at least maybe lunch. Let's see. It's probably about 3. And Leah's waving. And there's, well, wait a second. Getting your hair did. Hi, Christine. Somehow I thought you already had a birthday. Well, if it's today, happy birthday to you. Fantastic. All right. Hi, everybody. Another LinkedIn user. Excellent. All right. So we're seeing the comments here in the studio. Did someone put the link in the comments on the event? Yeah, Paulette did that. So we're going to talk about 20 minutes, and let me just share with you what the topic is. This is what you read when you chose to click attend. And thank you for being here, because your being here is the most important thing to us. And so, that's right. I was going to read you this bit here about what the overview of today is. And the overview is this first month and how we're going to outwit and use our conscious mind and our conscious awareness to wrangle down our fear of poverty. And we all have it, except for maybe 1/2 of 1/2 of 1/2 of 1/2 of 1% of people that are born into it. They're the only ones that never heard, we can't afford it. Wait till the taxes are done, right? They are the only ones. Now, just to catch you up on this series, what we've been doing over these last, well, as we began the videos, we've been looking at certainly mind over matter and different concepts, but also we've been developing character. So the first week we talked about courage and what is courage about? What does it take to do something you've never done before? And the effort is to slowly but consistently develop, like muscles, our character. They grow in direct proportion to their use. So the more we exhibit courage, the more courageous we become. Oops, let's see. Let me do that. Let's see. I can take that down. You'd think that if I was going to hang on one, it would be one that had a face. But here's one with a face. There's Carolyn. Hi, Carolyn. So glad you're here. Oh, look, and Christy is here. There we go. And yeah, let's see what Omar says. Yes, her voice is better. You're going to get to hear from her. Yes, finally her voice is better, but it just started. And here's Ashif. He's calling in from Toronto. Okay, so when we first started this, we talked about courage. What does it take to be courageous? How do you consciously develop the characteristic and the behavior of courage? What does it take? Your experiences with it. And then we went on, I think, the next week to bravery, or it may have been curiosity. Can't remember that now. On the 20th, we talked about conflict last week, conflict resolution and integrity, how to do that diplomatically. And then today we're going to talk about the fear of poverty. And, we all have it unless you were born into money and you never heard those words, that the way we gather our beliefs and perfect faith is through repetition of thought. How often do we think it? What are we thinking? And how does it make us feel when we're thinking it? Unfortunately, most of us have developed the fear of not having enough money. It's the fear of poverty. You're going to have a fear. You have to have the opposite of faith, which is fear. So this is part of the polarity of life. You're not going to wake up one day and find a bucket of gold at your feet and the universe saying, go spend, go do whatever you want. You are co-creators. I am a co-creator. So there are things that we have to do and we have to learn. One of them is that we have 6 basic fears. All the rest of them kind of fall under those for simplicity's sake. The one of the top 2 is the fear of poverty. We don't take a leap of faith, especially if we've never done something before. And you think about this, everybody. When was the last time that you did something that you really, really, really wanted to do, but you didn't know how to do it and you did it anyway? Yeah, you did that as a kid all the time. You didn't know how to ride a bike. You didn't care if you fell down. Your parents helped you. They were training meals. It didn't matter. You did not know how, but you were compelled to do it. Why were you compelled? You fell in love with it. That's conscious awareness. That's what we want to strengthen. Follow your heart. Be creative. Be kind and loving to other people. However, the universe in its wisdom gave us the exact opposite. And guess what? Those fears are real and they're strong. Because we remember them every time. We repeat them in our minds all the time. So poverty is real. And the opposite of poverty is abundance. Both are available based on what you're thinking, how frequently you think it, and the way you feel when you think it. So let's just look here for just a second. Yeah, it's real. And it also brings in the fear of criticism. Well, I must not have done it wrong. Well, I'm sure I did something wrong. That's the other big one. So not only is the fear of poverty real, because we have to have money to live, right? So it's real. You know what it feels like. It feels awful, right? So the idea here is to become aware that there is a way to fill your mind and your heart with faith. Ultimately, which one will dominate your thoughts? Faith in possibility, faith in love, faith in kindness, faith in virtues and values, or faith and proof that there is no money, faith and proof that I'm not going to get a job, faith and proof that I'm going to get sick. So we all have the default fears, but which one is stronger? Which one jumps out? This is a big one. So let me take a moment here, since I've already spent 17 minutes talking, okay, to introduce my lovely guests and my co-host. First is Leah Garcia. I know her as the Wall of Wealth Lady. She has this innovative structure or process, and I've been through it with her. And I'm sort of at the end of my life, so I'm not like a new person that needs a lot of the bricks and blocks, right, to build the wall of wealth. This is how I understand it, and I'll let her explain. What I found so innovative about her approach is that you can come in at any point and pick up a block or a row. So you're not limited to doing 20 things. You could, for me, it was one or two that we were looking at. So, plus the fact that Leah is well known as a very kind and a person, and I know her also as very, very savvy in mindset. Now, this is rare. Leah, the reason that Paulette and I thought about Leah was because Leah has the combination of mind over matter and the wealth mindset. She understands poverty and abundance, and she has the wherewithal about when things are down, how you can take small steps and counterbalance that fear. So Leah, say hello to our audience and give us a couple of words of wisdom for you before we jump into the conversation with Paulette after I introduce her. And so tell us why you're here. What made you come to be with us? You're our first special guest.
Oh my gosh.
You were the first one we thought of, right, Paulette?
Wow. I am so honored and I'm so humbled by your generous, kind words, Queen Dr. Leslie Flowers. I absolutely love this topic. Of course, I love to talk about money and money mindset. I'm all about that. And it's always my intention to be here of service, right? It's my intention. This is never about judgment. It's never about that. It's about bringing our awareness. And this is really more, in my mind, a mastermind. And you're right. The Wall of Wealth is my one-page financial plan. You could really take a snapshot of where you are financially and determine and identify where those blind spots are. I call them booby traps, right? They're the financial booby traps that blindside us that we're not aware of that can take us out of the financial game and really, impact our mindset and try to impact our mindset. That's what I should say. So to me, this year is about 2025. It's our year to rise up and thrive and to upgrade our money mind shift. Mindset to me is something that's static, it's sedentary, right? A growth money mind shift means that we're going to upgrade. We're going to capture and embrace new ideas and concepts. Remember, what got us here won't get us there. So I'm so honored to have this privilege to share with your audience with Miss Paulette and our Queen Dr. Leslie Flowers. And I'm excited to learn from your wisdoms as always.
Oh, you're so very kind. And thank you for being here because you're 3 hours earlier than the rest of us. And you already finished a show already that you had to start at 5 a.m. So I figured you'd already be up. And then after this, I hope you go walk in Monterey on the beautiful seashore as the sun shines down on the sand today. So thank you for being here. We'll get started here in just a minute. Now I want to introduce my lovely co-host, Paulette Hallam. She is a best-selling international children's author. She has 3 books. And Paulette and I came together and we discovered that Jack and Walter matched the work that I was doing with conscious and subconscious. So somehow the universe brought us together. We don't know exactly how or why, but the universe and God, in its or his or her infinite wisdom, knew that Paulette and I needed to work together. And I have found that her children's books, while parents are reading the books to the children so that they can outwit their fear, most all of those books with Paulette, she'll tell you, is about children who are insecure. Maybe they're in care, they don't have a parent, they're all of a sudden moved to another location. Children have a lot of fears, and that's why she wrote this book, so that as a parent reads it to a child and the child learns that there is a higher side, the Walter side, Jack is the fearful subconscious side, then you always get to ask when you're fearful, well, what would Walter do? Right? So there's even a child, but now the parents who also have those fears, without coming at them full face, are also learning that they have a Walter too. So Paulette, unmute and say hello and tell us what's on your mind this morning, and then I'll have you kick off the conversation as you usually do about what came up for you when we were talking about developing a wealth mindset, right? So that we can manage what we're thinking. Please, Paulette, take it away.
Okay. So just everyone, there's a bit of feedback. I don't know why that is, but just so you know, Leslie, every now and again we're getting a bit of feedback. So I apologize, I'm still a bit scratchy and it might be gone by the end of the session, but we'll give it our best. I'm Paulette Hallam. The thing that's really important to me is that people listen to the words that they hear in this room and they take them away and they go over them and over them until it starts to resonate, and then it will make sense. And then when it makes sense, it's when you take action. You don't take action and it's like spontaneous, because you do that and you're going to regret it. So what you have to do is give yourself a chance to think about what it is that we are saying and how it affects you. So it's about being responsive. And if you are reactive, you're much more likely to do something you're going to regret. For example, spend the money you knew you shouldn't, bought the thing you know you really didn't need, overspend at Christmas. January the 20th is known as one of the worst days in certainly in the UK, because that's the day that all the bills come in, and that's the day that everyone looks at the statements, and that massive wave of fear of how on earth am I going to get out of the mess that I've got us into. And that's the key. It's who did this. We can't blame anybody else. No one stole the money. Nobody took our money. We saw things with shiny lights and we went for them, and probably in kindness to give to others. But nonetheless, we didn't have the funds that we thought we had, or the funds that maybe we wish we had. And then when the bills come in, it's panic. So when we were talking, Leslie and I, this fear of poverty, it's more than just poverty. It's a fear of, I want to do and I can't. I want to give, but I can't. So it's even a bit deeper than just that overspending. It's the wants, I wishes. And that's where we thought of Leah, because if we can teach people this side in January, ready for next January, how not to do the things that we've done, then they'll be in a better position for next year. And by next year, maybe your mindset will be completely different and you would have reframed everything. But that's kind of where we were talking and where we got to. And it's about wanting to help people to help themselves. I know that's a really odd statement, but it's really true. It's about the mind being given the tools to do the job so that we can help you to help yourself. So that was really what I wanted to say. I've got through it somehow. So I'm really grateful. And now I'm going to shut up.
Well, a couple of things you said, and then I want to ask Leah a couple of questions. So one of the things that you pointed to, Paulette, and is to be responsive instead of reactive. Reactive is emotional and fearful. Like, as you said, when you may tend to do things you would regret. And it's not easy to hold your emotions. I totally get that, right? But that's the work that we're doing so that we can become responsive. Let me just take a breath. Now, the other part of this that Paulette mentioned, I think that is so vital, is that the universal phrase that I use, which is out of confusion comes clarity. So as you attend these sessions and we talk about mind over matter in a number of different ways from a number of different viewpoints with other people's points of view, the whole time you're growing in awareness. You are now more aware right at this moment than you were when you logged in. It's just how conscious awareness is. Now you can choose to listen to these concepts and consider them or not. We can't make you. Only you know if it appeals to you. And we'll make it as inspiring and as simple for you. But Paulette's point is so important. Wait until you get clarity. Sometimes these things are hard to wrap your arms around. The first time I heard this phrase, I was completely stumped. Tell me what you guys think. Here's the quote. I am grateful to the idea that has used me. And of course, now I can see his face, but I can't think of his name. Alfred Adler. No, yeah, Alfred Adler, Austrian psychiatrist and psychologist. What does that mean? What do you think it means? You in the audience. This is profound. It took me months to figure this out. I was so confused. I am grateful to the idea that used me. So it took me a very long time with that concept. Confusion, think about it, give it up. Later, go back to it. Think about it again. I heard it again. What are they talking about? Ideas don't use people. This is crazy. But based on my frame of reference, this made no sense. Right? This made no sense. And you could ask either side in the politics in the United States and about the other side. It just doesn't make any sense. How do they believe this way? How can it be? Each side is so sure that they're right. They are just as right. They have the right to be right. And yet we are so reactive that we can't back up and be objective and actually listen because we're run by our fears, our fear of poverty, our fear of doing it wrong, our fear that we'll get sick, that someone might break up with us. So getting back to poverty. What that means is that ideas are thought energy. And only human beings with conscious awareness can actually transmute or alchemize thought energy into physical manifestation. Now that may land like a rock for you. Or you might go, oh my God, I think I just got it. Or maybe I need to hear that again another way. to the point that you want to be, as much as you can, all of us aspire to be open to new concepts. Don't be afraid to listen, right? And check yourself. If you start to feel really uncomfortable about something that's being said, that's one of your reactive triggers. That's something that happened to you when you were a kid and you've revisited hundreds of times. And whenever that comes up again, you go back to the way you felt and the age. So here you are at 50, 60, 70, and you're still crying over the spilt milk in 7th grade or 3rd grade because you made a mess and everybody laughed at you. So it's now embedded. So whenever you're around milk, or right, whatever it is, you have an automatic reactive trigger to that. So we all have the poverty trigger. We can't afford it. The taxes haven't come in. Right? So what I'd love to ask Leah, and I wanted to mention the point that Paulette made, that is our intention here. Because our intention here is to share with you these concepts in different ways each week so that you get the light bulb moment. That one day you go, oh, now I finally get it. That was the longest concept. I'm grateful to the idea that has used me. I had to understand about conscious awareness. I had to understand about manifestation. I had to learn about universal laws, and there are 7, and this one is the transmutation of radiant energy. Right? Before I could explain it to you, it had to be clear to me. And that was a toughie. So we all go through this. Just stick with it. If you don't feel like doing it, don't do it. So Leah, so let's move over to you. And let me just do one thing here and look in the audience here. Because these people that you are people, wonderful people. Let's just see where we are. Here we go. Oops. No, thank you so much. That's our intention. We do it because we love it, because we aren't getting paid. We doing what we love, right? And the universe will provide. It always does. In fact, it's kind of interesting. You see this background on the screen? It has been deleted in my back office. This is one of the visions of Errata. And for those of you who know me, I live on the 5th dimension most of the time, which is a world of virtues, values, and soul-kissing love. That's all I care about these days. And this is one of the pictures from the planet Errata in the movie trailer. It would not go away, would it, Paulette? We tried. It would not disappear. So just because I don't know exactly how that happened doesn't mean that it wasn't something magical. I just didn't understand it yet. Let's see what our thank you. Let's see what you have here. Well, I'm not sure exactly. Oh, I'm grateful for the idea that has used me. Okay, I got it. Okay, no. Okay, so let me clarify. Tracy is so smart. Okay, so there's another way to look at this. So there's a law of sacrifice, and that is giving up something of lesser value to replace it with greater value. So what I'm sharing with you is this is not about sacrificing anything. It's about being used in love, because you will not manifest if you don't take your idea through this process with visualization. Everything that you've done goal-wise is a manifestation. So it's not a sacrifice. Actually, you could even look at it as an investment in your dreams, right? All right, one more, and then we're going to go over to Leah. Embrace new ideas without fear, and recognize that comfort with novelty often stems from childhood trauma. Okay. Great. That is well said, Miss Joni. And look here, here's Lisa Feveg, and Lisa is a registered dietitian, and she focuses on eating properly for the menopause years. However, if you know Lisa, all of her advice about eating properly works for everybody. Everything that she's telling people to do to minimize problems with menopause, all those foods are good for us. All right, so let's go over here to Leah. Leah, you've been listening, and I've been talking, and Paulette's been talking, and we have 30 minutes. So the link is in the comments. If you want to come up, it's not necessary. If you do, it's only 2 or 3 minutes. You will copy the link, paste it in a new tab on your browser. Okay, and then you will put that link in, paste the link, and you'll come into the studio. It's not in LinkedIn. It's next door. Okay, it's your next door neighbor, so to speak. I've got them right next to each other. LinkedIn, StreamYard, so I can go back and forth. So Leah, if we start with a person, let's just start with me. Okay, start with me, which we used to do. My husband and I used to promise ourselves every Christmas that we had a budget. And we have 2 children. We broke the budget every year. So for 20, 25 years, this is how it went, Leah. We burst the bullet. In January, the bills would come in, and he would scream and yell, and we would talk about how this Christmas we're going to do it differently. And it was the shock and the realization that we've screwed ourselves again for another year, right? So I remember that there used to be Christmas clubs. What if you're a person who does okay, right? You're not necessarily at poverty level. You do have enough food and you do have money for certain things, right, that you want. You're living a fairly good life, but you don't have spare cash. Right. Everything goes out for food, or gosh, if you have girls, you've got prom dresses. Oh my God. And they're expensive now. I mean, I paid $400 for prom dresses 40, 50 years ago. They're much more now. It's all relative to what's going on, right? But it used to just shock me when I would see this dress you're going to wear one time for $400. What? Right. This is in the early 90s. So Leah, so what do you tell the person who comes to you, any one of us who has some money, a little to spare? We get what this is about, but yet we don't have the money to spare to invest so that we could maybe set ourselves up by the end of that year or the next year, not to repeat that same horrible process. Please, ma'am. And I really want to hear how you would help work me out of this.
Yeah, there's so much good stuff. I mean, I loved all the shares so far. So much comes to my mind, but I'm going to say, let's start here. I don't believe in budgets. I never talk about a budget with my clients. I believe that budgets are coming from lack and limitations and scarcity, and we feel like we're being punished. Budgets are punitive. So for me, I always talk about a spending plan, right? Our household, we have to look at it as a business. We have income that comes in, and then we have spending that goes out. And so when I set up a spending plan, it really has several elements to it. A lot of people think it's just about the income and the outgo, but there's much more that goes to it. So we need to track every income that comes in, including bonuses, tips, anything like that that comes in extra. And then all of our fixed expenses, account for all of our fixed expenses, and then look at what those additional things are, right? Those optional things. And then from there, we also need to track all of our debts, meaning how much we owe, the interest rates, and our balances. And then we need to put all of our investments, so IRAs, 401ks, life insurance, all of that kind of good stuff. You need to have it in one quick, I call it a financial snapshot. You need to have it in one quick place that you can look at it very easily, because otherwise it's abstract. It's abstract. a lot of people will say, well, yeah, I know what my budget is, but I have no idea what my 401k balance is. All right. Yeah, I've got some debt, but I don't know what the interest rate is. So all progress starts by telling the truth. So we need a clean, clear snapshot so that we're really aware of literally where we are financially. So many times, a lot of these, I call them entertainers, financial entertainers, right? They talk about budgets. They talk about not going to a lot, coffee. You can't go out to eat. You got to do things like, get rid of your car, burn your furniture, sell your children, and all these little things. But then we're losing money all the time in our 401ks. It's like we're counting our pennies to our millions. We're paying so much or overpaying in our interest because we don't understand how money works. So I don't believe in budgets. So the first thing I would say is let's look at your financial snapshot. I have a free tool. It's called Undead. You can use that and you can get everything in a one clear place. And there's always a way to eke out a few dollars. Okay. So maybe we're going to look at those alternative things, maybe those optional spending, but maybe we're looking at those fixed, what we think are maybe those fixed expenses. We start to look at things, maybe we're overpaying with our insurances. Maybe we're double covered somewhere. Maybe we can get on the phone with our cell phone company and we can make some options there, right? We can negotiate down some things. Remember, all progress starts by telling the truth. And when we really look at what our expenses are, we're going to find creative ways. You talk about this all the time, Queen Dr. Leslie Flowers, right? The more creative we can be, that we can attract things and we can find ways to eke out dollars. Everybody thinks that we don't have money because they want to go ahead and pay everything before they pay themselves first.
Mm,
Listen, we
mm.
have to pay ourselves first. And I promise you, you will find a way, you will attract a way to meet all of your fixed expenses. So that's where I start. Does that help? Does that
Yeah,
resonate
it,
with you?
it, it does, and it's too much for me. So I'm a baby boomer. I love it that you have to be truthful. You have to look at what's there. But now
Yeah,
for me in my age, we never knew any of that stuff.
right,
The husband did all of that. So I get
right.
that. That's my arena. And I hate numbers. I don't like finances. I don't like it. So I avoid it.
Yeah.
So assuming that this is the logical strategic first step, what is the first step? What is something that a person who is just overwhelmed with bills, is it a small savings account? What is a
Pay
first
yourself first.
okay.
Pay yourself first. And if that means that you have $1 at the end of the month, you put that $1 away for
Okay.
you,
Okay.
right? I call it the power of the penny. If you
Mm.
if you doubled a penny every day for a year, you would
Mhm.
have a number that's too big to even quantify. It's a number with 107 zeros. We
What?
think that
With a
yes,
penny? So it's one time, well, no, if you put a penny in every
if you
day.
double a penny every day for a year, you would end up with a number that has 107 zeros. Ask ChatGPT. So oftentimes we think that this has to be thousands and thousands of dollars that we have to put away. Start
Yeah.
where you are. If it is that one penny, it's not the money, it's the intention behind it, right?
Yes.
We're telling the universe, we're telling God, listen, we are worthy. We are worthy of this and we pay everything else. One of my first clients, years ago, I met them. I'll tell this quick story. They met when they were 12 and 14 years old. They got married. Mary had barely a second grade education. And they had in California 2 homes paid off in cash, over $500,000 in their savings, and they had a 401k that had almost $1 million in it. And I asked them, and they were field workers. They worked in the field picking artichokes and cantaloupes, right? Strawberries. That's not a very lucrative, quote unquote, lucrative career. I asked her, Mary, how did you folks do this? She said, you know what, Leah, we were working so hard and we paid everybody else. And I decided, I said, Lupe, we are working so hard. We are going to pay ourselves first. And we started paying ourselves first 5% of our income. And then we increased it until we got to the point where we're paying ourselves first over 30% of our income. So all progress starts by telling the truth. So that's literally where I start. Pay yourself first. Number
Fabulous.
one. And yes, we can go ahead and set up those Christmas clubs and things like that. But a lot of times people,
Something, right? Something that you're
yeah,
actually taking an action on your own behalf, because the universe or God isn't going to give it to you if you're sitting on your butt. So even the smallest act is action in the right direction. Yes?
that's right. Yes.
I love that. Paulette, you've been listening patiently and we've given your voice a rest. What we're getting so far is that if you're overwhelmed by it, do one small thing, right? It doesn't, you, as Mary Morrissey says, you can climb Mount Everest taking baby steps as long as you don't stop moving your feet. So it can be a small thing. It's not leaping. So Paulette, what's coming up for you, my friend? This is such a juicy conversation.
It's all about intention for me. Everything is always about intention. Once you've made the decision through thinking, so you've made a positive decision that you're going to change something. The intention is, I'm going to try and save. I'm going to try and put that penny away. I'm going to try and have $1 left at the end of the month that I can put somewhere else, or whatever it's going to be. But it's got to be an intentional act. If you just think, oh, well, see what happens with the bank balance at the end of the month, that's not intentional. It's got to be intentional, because that's when it becomes mindset. That's when it becomes a definite purpose, a definite decision. And without that intentionality, to me, it's not real. It's just a I might, I maybe, I will, I'll try. It's not a definite. And that commitment to change is tough. And people who have been or have lived with less than will find it easier too. And I'll tell you why that is. When you've had less than, you always want to do better. You want more for your family. You want more to pass on. You want more to give. So when you've had less than, the intention is greater. It's more purposeful. And so I really do believe that when the intention is, what would Walter do? Walter would say, have the intention to put something away and do it. Just like Leah said. And
Yeah.
that's the way that I'm hearing, and I hope other people are hearing, so that that message becomes the go away that goes around in a loop and then sticks.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because that's what this is all about.
Let me add one thing, if I might. Remove the word try and use I will and I am. Because if you remember, what was it Yoda said? Do or do not. There is no try. And for me, if I will tell you, and I know it wasn't intentional, but when I hear someone say, I'll try, I know they have a backdoor escape, right? But when you say, or when I say, I will put away $1 every week between now and the end of the year, I feel more committed. Paulette, would you agree with that? Oh, you're just doing your nose. Okay. Is that a fair
100%. No,
addition?
absolutely, yeah.
Good.
The intention has to be that you will. You
Yes.
you
And that,
have to really believe it as well, not just say it.
right.
Say it to yourself. Tell yourself. Instruct yourself. Then you've got more chance of it coming into fruition.
Yes, because you feel really good about it. You feel strong. You feel you're compelled to do it. You have got a direction. You don't really know how you're going to do it, other than you said you would. And that is typically enough to get us moving. I believe. So this is excellent. So we've got and I was trying to think if there's something else. I love the pay yourself first, but I have to tell you something. I hired a business manager a couple of years ago. I had never done a profit and loss statement. I'm a boomer. And I don't think our kids are learning how to do this in high school. I'm thinking that they learned a little bit about stocks. I remember my kids learning about stocks and bonds, but I think that that may be a real missing for kids. What you're talking about, this understanding. So I hired this business manager. I love her, and she taught me how to do a profit and loss statement. Do you know what I found? I had $500 in memberships, and not memberships, but registrations for software that I wasn't using
Subscription.
it, right? That
Yep.
I haven't used in years. And in with that one exercise, I had $500 more. I literally go ahead, unmute, Leah. We'll hear you better if you're unmuted.
No, you're exactly right. That's bringing the awareness, right? That's tracking. What we track expands. So when we're bringing awareness to what we're spending, because we don't believe in budgets anymore, right? Let's just get rid of that word. Then we can find those pockets of money. It's not about the latte. That's like, to me, it's a real misnomer because there's so many other ways that we can eke out a few dollars, like those subscriptions, like overpaying with our interest. There's so many other ways that we can find real dollars and not be punitive with ourselves that we can't have that latte, because maybe that latte is our joy, right? Maybe that is the one thing we love, that cup of coffee, like Miss Paulette's enjoying her tea right there. So yeah, I love that you said that.
Yeah, that's excellent. And Joni is bringing up compartmentalizing. So I will say this about men are better at this than women. Men have been in business for 5,000 years. The context for business success is masculine. We women came on the scene full time 30, 40 years ago, probably with the onset of the divorce rate. It's really in the 70s and 80s that it started to go skyrocketing. So it was required that women had to come into business. It required both incomes, but then when the divorce came, it was worse because, right, people were on their own and they had these expensive homes and couldn't afford to pay it for them. And women come from 5,000 years of nurturing and taking care of boo-boos and cooking dinner and settling conflicts and making people feel good in managing the household. So this business of compartmentalizing is very masculine, and it leads you into the objective, to the Walter, to the strategic and the conscious way of thinking. Men have an edge on women in this, and we are learning to be more responsive instead of reactive. We don't go into our boss now and start crying, I'm so sorry this happened. We're learning to say, right, I see I did this wrong. Let me go at this again, please. So women are learning to compartmentalize. But on the other side of that, women are really strong in intuition and men aren't as much. So while we're learning how to compartmentalize, and thanks Joni for bringing that up, right? And learning to think objectively and responsively, consciously, and holding our tongue when every bit of us wants to say, but that's wrong. And you stand for your kids and you stand for things, but you can develop the ability to compartmentalize. That is, to just stop a minute and observe what's going on so that we aren't as reactive. So I totally appreciate that, bringing that up. So we're about 5 minutes to go, and I want to make sure that we have hit everything that we said we would talk about here. Okay, so the way I see this is that there is the intention was for us to find a way to deal with the aggravating fear of poverty, the result that happens to many of us at the end of January. It could happen every month. I don't know. But certainly in January is when like the truth is available in large fonts, right? That you have screwed up another year. And my husband and I would go, oh God, here we go again, right? And then just repeat the cycle, right? But what you can do is first of all, listen to the concepts, pick one of things that you've heard, right, Leah? Only one thing. When you see people say, well, here are 10 things to be a leader. Here are 10 things you can do right now. Oh, read these 10 books. People do nothing. It's
Right.
confusion. So pick one thing. It doesn't matter the size of it, right, Leah? The
That's right.
size of the thing doesn't matter. What Paulette has said, it is the intent. You're saying, okay, I'm ready and willing. I'm not doing leaps, but I can put aside, I could save my coffee from Starbucks, stick it in the refrigerator and heat it up the next day. I'm not saying you have to do that, but there's $2.50 or $4 or $5. Just pick one thing, right? And so that is the most important thing. Also, forget about budgets so much because of their negative connotation. There really is a trigger with budgets. Do you agree, Paulette? Do you agree that there is a trigger with budgets?
Domestic violence actually is attributed quite often to budgets.
There you go.
It's because people step outside of a number and it can set the arguments and the rows. And then, so actually, budgets have so many negative connotations in my mind because of the training, but it doesn't mean that there isn't a benefit to having an understanding of what your spends are and what your in and your out columns look like, of course. But the budget and the rigid thinking can be very, very, very dangerous.
Yeah. And Lillian, that's all we knew, right? We were told create a budget, right? But there is this, for someone like me, I don't even want to look at it. But somehow the profit and loss statement, when it was focused on how those old subscriptions, I mean, because they're small, I think that's part of it. They aren't really phenomenally big ones. They could be $7, $8, $9, or $10.
There you go.
Right. But it's each month. So imagine if all you did was, to Leah's point, because she gave us a lot of different ways to look at your plan, a lot of different elements to it. But let's say that your one thing that you're going to do this week is take a look in your PayPal and your bank account and make a list of all of the monthly renewals that you pay, because that's when I was shocked. I forgot. Oh, Animoto, that was years ago. Am I still paying for that thing?
There's another one, Leslie, gym membership. We sign up for gym memberships and they're still going and you haven't set foot in it for over 6 months.
Yeah. And then why do we do that? Well, okay, so we aren't compelled to lose weight or exercise. We're doing it because maybe someone thought it was a good idea or someone said something to you. The goal has to be yours. And the gym memberships are perfect. The health club memberships make a fortune. In January, you're in there, you're all in, and you're tapping your foot. You can't get a machine, right? It's all sweaty and time is frittering, and you're saying, oh my God, I could be doing something else, right? Then February, you can get the machines and there are people next to you and you start to have nice conversations and you're really enjoying yourself in February. In March, most everybody's gone. There's nobody on either side of you. And then people pay every month through the end of the year. I mean, that's beautiful examples. So pick one of those things, and it doesn't even have to be your worst thing. Right, Leah? It doesn't even have to be the worst one. The idea is to intend with one. This is why we set one goal at a time. We have tasks to reach the goal, right? We do have tasks, but it's one thing at a time. Then we see the process,
Right.
the process that we want to replicate it. So we are at 11 o'clock, and I want to see if there is any, what is this? Oh, she said your sensory issues are um, going off. Um, It's a good business. Thank you, Michelle. All right, and look at this. Keith came in late. Yeah, we're done actually, but well, I actually I've started something new um, in the morning because I'm drinking a cup of bone broth. It's
Mhm.
really high protein, high cost. I have to tell you, I don't know how they do it, but I've been on a protein diet, on the carnivore diet, and I feel phenomenal. Weight is really slow. Were you going to say something, Leah, about the carnivore?
No.
Okay. So I will let go of the coffee. I have maybe 1 or 2 cups a day, but good point. Good point. Oh, okay. Annie, you come in when it's over at 11, where she's been talking the whole time, and you demand and command. Paulette, would you please say something for Annie so that he knows you're better?
My voice is back, sir.
There we go. All right, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed this. Um, not sure what we'll be doing. We'll figure something out. But this was the fear of poverty. And the idea here is to realize that the fear of poverty is reactive and not
Right.
thinking. The potential faith in abundance is available, but it's all contingent upon what you're filling your mind with. What are you thinking about? And our work here is to develop your character, your conscious awareness of your infinite potential, your leadership, and all of the elements that make you unique and a wonderful human being. We all have the ability to take an idea and allow it to use us. And that's what manifestation is. That's what Alfred Adler meant, that only humans can alchemize or manifest. We don't know if animals do. So, with that, Leah, thank you so much for being here. It was
It's
our
my honor.
thank you. Thank you. And thank you for sharing your expertise, Paulette. Any last words for you?
Just go away and be intentional. That's all.
Be intentional. And we so appreciate you that you hope you found really good value. And as we get ready to go off here, I'm going to sing that song again. Take your time as you leave this room, and really, before you move on to the rest of your day, what is that one thing that you might be willing to do that you haven't until today, but something showed up for you? What is that one thing that you will intend doing to help you, guide you away from the fear of poverty and into faith and love? Only one will dominate in any moment, and we get to say. So thank you to my lovely guest, my beautiful weekly co-host, and let's listen to this. Oops, hang on a second. This is the wrong thing here. Oh, Lord. Did I do it wrong? Here we go. I love this song. Let's see if I can get it going here. Here we go. Can leave it anytime. I'll sing a little bit. And thank you, Leah. Thank you, Paulette. Have a phenomenal week, everybody. Lots of good stuff coming down the road. I took my love, took it down. Oh, I climbed a mountain, taking baby steps, and turned around. And I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills, till the landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child in my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? Okay, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I built my life around you. Oh, but time makes me bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Thank you everyone for being here. Appreciate all of you. Thank you, Leah. What a doll you are, for sharing your expertise, Paulette. Who knew that January was a difficult month the way you explained it? So don't be afraid, because I've been afraid of changing too, because I built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Oh, I'm getting older too. Take my love, take it down, Stanley High. Oh, climb a mountain and turn around. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, well, the landslide bring it down. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, well, the landslide bring it down. Oh, the landslide will bring it down. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you. See you on the boards. Thank you for being here and my guests.